In today's video, we are going to be playing in a tournament with mono red mid-range. If you do not know the streamer or YouTuber MTGO, this is his tournament, so show him some support. But this is the deck we're going to be playing, and it's going to be a 6-round tournament with a top 8. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know if you like the different, tournament style. But anyways, let's get into the first round. Match 1, we are on the draw, and we're up against an Orzhov Taxes list. Just thought I'd show you all the list. It's open deck list for this tournament, but let's get into it. We're keeping our 7. Oops. Opponent leads on turn 1 Swamp. We will play a Din, holding up Bolt. They go turn 2 Silent Clearing into a Stoneforge, picking up a Cauldra. That is terrifying, but at least we can bolt this. And we do find a land, which is a good draw, and a missed land drop from the opponent. We find another land. We'll play out our Ramen Up Runes into a Fable. And on the end step, they evoke out a Solitude, and they do keep it alive with an Ephemerate. Opponent attacks in for 3 and plays out a Marsh Flats, doing nothing else. Ooh, Bone Crusher Giant, huge pickup. And before we loot, they flash in a Bowmasters, which is fine. We're not going to loot anyways, so we're not going to kill this with the Bone Crusher Giant. We'll play at our Mountain, evoke out a Fury, and try and kill their entire board. And they don't have an Ephemerate for that, and then we'll pick up our Obosh. They play out another Stoneforge, gain a Sophie. Alright, we got a Ramen Up Runes. We flip our Fable. We will fire off our Bone Crusher, trying to kill the Stoneforge. That just happens. Then we'll play out a Ramen Up Runes into a Bone Crusher Giant. And they play out a Grief. I am curious what they're taking here. And they end up taking our Obosh and another Fable for us. And we'll just cast out a Fury here, kill their Grief, and then attack in for 6. Wow, hard cast Batter Skull. What a time to be alive. Yeah, we can just copy a Fury, and I think we have lethal here because we do know their last 2 cards in hand are Cauldra and a Sophie. We draw another Spyro. We will copy our Fury, kill their Batter Skull, and this should just be game. Yep, and they scoop it up before damage, so let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 4 Blood Moon, bring in 2 Pirate Spell Bomb, a Ratchet Bomb, and a Filigree Silex. Game 2, our star looks quite strong. They go turn 1 Marsh Flats, doing nothing. We top deck a Bolt. We will play out our Pyrite Spell Bomb. And it just goes clearing pass. We'll play out our Shinka and play out a Filigree Silex. And on our end step, they do flash in a Bowmasters. They go straight to combat, poking in for 2, and then play out a Stoneforge, picking up a Cauldra, and I would really love to play out a Fable, but we do have to remove this Stoneforge. So we'll play out a Ramen Up, fire off a Bone Crusher, and pass back. And they go again straight to combat, poking us for 2. And they play out a Burnt Hinge Forge Cinder, and on the end step, we'll fire off a Bolt on the Bowmasters. Wow, they sacrificed the Forge Cinder to protect it. Interesting. And we'll also put an Oil Counter on our Filigree Silex. Ooh, Spikefield Hazard off the top. We'll play out a land, fire off our Spikefield Hazard on the Bowmasters, and that eats an Ephemerate. And I do think we'll sacrifice the Silex to kill the Bowmasters in response. Then we'll play out our Fable after that. We'll place that at tapped land into Stoneforge, picking up nothing. What the heck? I'm not sure what that means. They must have multiple equipments in hand. We find a land, and I actually think we'll keep it in hand. Then we'll play it out, play our Spyro. Ooh. Yeah, don't mind if we do. I guess we need to kill this Stoneforge now. Then we will play out a Ragavan and attack in with our Shaman. Opponent plays out another Forge Cinder into a Dothy. Flame Slash off the top's a good one. We flip our Fable. We'll fire off our Flame Slash on the Dothy. Then we will play out a Spyro. Ooh, and these are some good draws. We will play out our Pyrite Spell Bomb, and then we will kill their Burrington now. And they sack it to prevent damage from Ragavan, and we'll attack in for 4. Ooh, and they do go for the block here. Down to 10. And opponent scoops it up. Let's get on to round number 2. Round 2, we're on the draw, and the hand with a bunch of removal spells against the Dimir player is not going to be a good one, so we'll mold this. And our 6 looks way better. We'll put back a Spikefield Hazard, top deck a Mountain. We'll go turn 1 Din into a Ragster, and on an end step, they do cycle Lauren Revealed, and they shock in the Watery Grave, pushing our Ragavan. Ooh, Bone Crusher off the top. We will take that. Yeah, we'll just pass here. We could fire it off now, but no reason to. Wow, and they're missing a land drop, so let's fire off a Stomp, and they do not counter that. Top deck a Relic, so we will pick up our Obosh, and they do find a land drop. We find another Fable. We'll fire off a Relic. We'll play Sokinzon into a Fable, and that eats a Force Negation, and they find a Hall of the Storm Giants tapped. We top deck a Bolt, we'll activate our Relic, and then play out a Bone Crusher, and that eats a Counterspell, and nothing from the opponent. Then we'll fire off another Fable on our turn, and another Force Negation, and they slam a One Ring, getting protection, and no land for us off the top, so let's pop Relic. Finding land, but it's a little too late probably. They fire off a Preordain on their turn, and they didn't even activate the One Ring, interesting, and nothing from them. Find another land, we'll fire off an Obosh, and then we'll play out our Mountain passing. Oh, and they still have not activate the One Ring. Wow, and nothing again from the opponent. Top deck another Fury, and we're just gonna go straight to combat. And they flash in a Subtlety, and they do chump block here. And I'm looking at their deck, and it doesn't look like they have any board wipes, so let's just slam down a Fury. And they do pitch cast a Subtlety to counter this, and we'll put this to the bottom. And they activate the One Ring, which is fine, and nothing again. Wowzers. Ooh, Fable off the top, not bad. We'll attack another Obosh, and they're down to 7, so let's fire off this Fable, and that ends up resolving. So we'll pass back, and on our inset, they push our Shaman. They fire off a Preordain, and they bottom both. Again, looks like they're not finding lands. Wow, unfortunate. Ooh, Spyro off the top. We will loot away this Flame Slash, find in a Bone Crusher, and then we'll go to combat. And they scoop it up, so let's get on to sideboarding. Sideboarding, we're going to take out 4 Flame Slashes and bring in a Lantern and Pyrite Spellbombs. Game 2, our hand is a little slow, but I will keep. And they fire off turn 1 Preordain. And we top deck a Den, great draw. We'll play that into a Relic. Someone plays out a Tarn, passing. We top deck another Relic. We'll play our Ramanop into a Relic. They play out a Strand and then fire off a Preordain. And nothing else from them, so we're going to pop a Relic on the end step. And they fetch and response. I guess they have a Bowmasters here, which is fine. And we find a Bone Crusher, and we're going to slam our Blood Moon. And it resolves. Heck yeah. And they do have their basic Swamp, unfortunate. We find another Fable. We will slam one of them, and that resolves. And then we will play out our Soakin' Zone. And on the end step, they push our Shaman, and they do slam a One Ring. Then they attack him with a team, and we'll Spikeful Hazard the Orcish Bowmasters. And we find a land, and I think we want everything here. We'll play out our Fable, then play out a Shinka and Bone Crusher this Orc army now. And in response, they do draw a card with the One Ring. They play out another mountain, and we top deck a Spikefield Hazard, and they flash in a Bowmasters before we trigger with our Fable. So we will Spikefield Hazard the Bowmasters now, and then they draw with the One Ring in response to that, and we kill their Bowmasters. We won't use Fable, and then we'll flip another Fable. Then we'll pick up our Obosh, and we're just gonna pass here. Not worth to lose our Shaman to this Orc army. And on the inset, they cycle Lorn Revealed, picking up another island, and they play out an island, passing back, and another Bone Crusher off the top. We'll flip a Fable, and in response to this, they draw some cards with the One Ring, and we're just gonna go to combat, attacking with their Shaman, and they do block with their Orc army. Then we'll play out a Bone Crusher, passing back. And that eats a Subtlety. That's fine. And opponent's down to 10. They draw 4 cards with the One Ring, up to 13 cards in hand, and on their end step, we will try and copy our Reflection, and in response, they draw 2 more. What the heck? Then we'll copy another Reflection, and then we'll Fable again, and they discard a few cards, and we find a Bone Crusher, and we're just gonna go straight to combat, attacking with everything, and they go to block a Reflection, and this is still lethal, and yeah, there we go. Let's get on to round 3. Round 3, I forgot that the record button. We're up against Jund, and our starting hand for game 2 is quite strong. Wow, they lead on turn 1 Mountain into Ragman, and we top deck a Fury, so we'll play turn 1 Den into a Flame Slash. Oh yeah, and we did take game 1. Oopsies, forgot to mention that. Wow, and they go Beseiju into Rin. Another Flame Slash for us. We will play at our Mountain dash Ragavan and poke them for 2. Ooh, hitting Thoughtseize, huge pickup. We will definitely Thoughtseize them. And I think this is a pretty easy Goyf take. Yeah, we'll take the Goyf, and then we're gonna evoke out this Fury, pitching a Flame Slash to kill the Rin. And they do top deck a Pyrite Spellbomb. Hey, we do find a land, so we'll play that out and fire off our Bone Crusher. Plays out the Research Desk, and they're not cracking it. Find another land, we will attack them with our Bone Crusher. Then play out our Spikefield Hazard, tapped, and then pick up our Obosh. And on our instep, they do crack the desk, finding a Heat and a land, and they do pick up the land. They play out the Wooded Foothills from exile, and they fetch Shock to cast it to rest, so that's a nice little 2-for-1 for us. And they play out a Haywire Mite. Ooh, Spyro off the top, huge. And I think we're just gonna cast our Obosh here and attack him. An opponent does block, this is pretty forced. And they do sacrifice the Pyrite Spellbomb to finish off our Bone Crusher, and they play out another Haywire Mite into a Ragman. We pick up a Relic, we will fire off our Bone Crusher, killing their Ragavan, then we'll attack him with Obosh. Then after combat, we will play our Relic, pop it right now. This is gonna like turn off any unholy heats that they have, play out a Ramanop Ruins, and then play out a Ragavan. They play out a Nile Spellbomb that we knew about, then they pop it right away, drawing a card. Then they play out a tap Blood Crypt. We find a Relic, we will activate our Den of the Bugbear, then attack him with everything. An opponent's down to 1, we exile a land, and then we'll play out our Relic Opportunist. They fire off a Thoughtseize, and they're gonna kill themselves, but they do take our Spyro. So let's get on to round number 4. Round 4, we're up against Hammer, and this hand looks quite strong against them, so we'll keep. We'll lead on turn 1 Mountain. An opponent leads turn 1 Plains into a Springleaf Drum, then runs out an Ornithopter into a Giver. Pretty good start for them. And we're not going to fire off the Bolt here, no reason to. Ooh, Fable is a great draw. We'll fire off our Flame Slash, coming the Giver, and we're just going to hold Bolt here. They play out an Inkmoth into a Steel Shapers, taking up a Hammer. Wow, and they play that out just blind into another Thopter, and we're not going to fire off a Bolt here. Another Fable for us. We're going to play out Blast Zone into a Fable. It's a tad bit risky, but I think we're fine here. Yep, and they play out a Pure Steel, which is expected, then equip it to a Thopter, and they attack in. We will not block. Wow, and they equip it to another Thopter. Interesting. We pick up a Spyro, and we're going to loot away Blood Moon and our Spyro. And their Blast Zone, big pickup. We'll play out the Blast Zone. So we're going to main phase pop Blast Zone now. Yeah, and they do have a Surge, which is fine, I guess. Oh, wait, that doesn't give Indestructible? Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, never mind. I don't know why I thought this was Indestructible. So we'll attack them with our Goblin, and in their upkeep, we will bolt their Pure Steel, and they play out a Giver. We top deck a Bone Crusher, we'll attack them with our Shaman, then we'll fire off a Flame Slash on the Giver and play out a Fable, and they play out a Pure Steel. We top deck a Ragavan, we will loot that away. I need another Blood Blood Moon. Yikes. So let's stomp the Pure Steel. Oh, and they just scoop it up there. So let's get on to sideboarding. For sideboarding, we're going to take out 4 Ragavan and 4 Relic for 2 Magus, 2 Pithy Needle, 2 Pirate Spell Bomb, and 2 Ratchet Bomb effects. For game 2, our hand is definitely fine, but really just loses to any pro-red creature summonable. And this is much stronger. We'll put back a Pithy Needle. They lead on turn 1 Plains into a Springleaf Drum, into an Ornithopter, and a Hammer. Wowzers. Pretty good start for them. And we do find a Ramanop Runes. So we'll go turn 1 Ramanop into a Pyrite Spellbomb. We're really only concerned about a turn 2 Pure Steel here. They bolt in a land and then play a Stoneforge. Pick up a Nettlecyst. Interesting. And we find another land off the top. I'm not sure if we're supposed to Fury this board or not. Definitely hard to tell. I think we will, though. Trying to kill both their creatures. And we clear the board. Then we'll play out a Mountain into a Sylex. Then they play out a Pure Steel Paladin. Passing back. So we will put an oil counter on our Sylex. Ooh, little Magus off the top. Let's try and kill this Pure Steel now. Then we'll play out a Ramanop. And another Pure Steel off the top. That is scary. I think that's fine. I don't know if I'm supposed to crank up the Sylex or not. Blood Moon off the top. Not a great pickup. We'll play out our Magus. And I think we need to pop the Sylex now, sadly. They do find a land, which means they'll slam this Nettlecyst. And they do get the draw off the Pure Steel. We top deck a Flame Slash. We will go to combat, attacking with our Magus. And no blocks from the opponent. Then we'll fire off a Flame Slash, killing their Pure Steel. And a Giver off the top for the opponent. Poking in for 1. Another land for us. We will play that out and attack in for 2. And they cast out a Sigarda's Aid. Yikes. And then they attack in with their Germ. And we will not block. Thankfully, they don't have a hammer. And yeah, that's a good one. We'll play out our land and cast a Fury. Dealing 2 to the Giver and 2 to the Phyrexian Germ. Yep, and they do save their Germ here. Then we'll attack in for 2. And they play out another Giver. Ooh, Spyro off the top. Let's attack in with Fury. And they're down to 5, so we'll play out a Spyro. Pitching Blood Moon and picking up a Bone Crusher Giant. And we're going to fire that off on the Giver now. And opponent scoops it up there. Let's get on to round number 5. So we intentionally drawed twice, and now we are in the top 8. We are up against a Jeskai Prowess list, and our hand looks quite good, so we will keep our 7. And we are on the draw here. Opponent goes turn 1 Steam Vents into a Soulscar. We find a land, we'll play our Mountain, and try and bolt the Soulscar, and that resolves. Then they play a Preordain on their turn, and they do find a Steam Vents with a Shock in and play out a Swifty. They poke us for 1. We top deck a Blood Moon, not horrible. We'll play out our Mountain, and then stomp their Soulscar. And opponent slams an Expressive Iteration, and they exile a Dreadhorde, and they miss a land drop, huge. We'll play out our Blast Zone, and then we'll dash a Ragavan. Ooh, we exile Preordain, which we definitely will cast. Ooh, these are also 2 good ones. We'll bottom the land, keep the Relic, and play that out. And opponent just plays out a DRC, which we will try and Spikefield Hazard, and they let that resolve. Then we'll play out our Shinka and play out a Blood Moon. This does turn off, EIs and whatnot. They do have Preordains as well, so not absolutely horrible. They play out a Mountain into a Dreadhorde, and we pick up a Spikefield Hazard, not horrible. We'll play out our Blast Zone, play out a Bone Crusher Giant, and then play out a Ragavan. They play out a Swift Spear, and they fire off a Lava Dart on our Ragavan, and they attack in with everything, trying to flash back our Preordain, so we will pop our Relic. And that resolves, and before blocks, they bolt down our Bone Crusher. Another land for us, not great. And we're kind of missing some spells here, so we're going to pick up our Obosh and hope that's good enough to hold it back. They play out a DRC into a Mistress Bauble, getting a Prowess trigger and a Surveil, and they fire off a Bauble looking at our top. Then they attack in, getting an Arcanist trigger, casting a Preordain out of the yard, getting another Surveil and Prowess trigger. And they put 2 to the bottom, drawing a card. We're down to 11. And they play out a land into picking up Gigantha. Come on, spell. Ugh, another land. We'll just cast our Obosh and pass back, I guess. Wow, they just cast out a Gigantha. And no attacks. All right, come on, something good. Please give me a spell. Bone Crusher isn't horrible. It's not amazing either. We'll play out our Blast Zone. Then we'll fire off a Bone Crusher on the DRC. And then we will play out a Bone Crusher. And we can hold up Spikefield Hazard or a Sokenzan. Plays out a DRC. Whoa, makes a few mana with Gigantha to cast an EI. That makes sense. And they bin a Lava Dart. They end up exiling a land, playing it out, and then playing out an Underworld Breach. That is spooky. Then they fire off a bolt on our Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher triggers, dealing 4 damage to their opponent. And they've been a Mutagenic Growth. Then they fire off a bolt on our Obosh. Then they fire off another bolt trying to kill our Obosh. And we'll let the triggers resolve. And then we will, before it dies, use our Sokenzan to make 2/1/1s. Then they flash back a Lava Dart before combat. combat, killing one of our spirits. Then they fire off a mutagen growth on their Dread Horde, which should mean they have lethal here, because they can attack, bolt our spirit token, and that is game, but we'll make sure they do it. Yep, and they do flashback the bolt. If they target the spirit, we are dead, and they do. An opponent has us here, so let's get on to sideboarding. For sideboarding, we're going to take out 4 Blood Moon and bring in 2 Pyrite Spellbomb and 2 Lanterns. Game 2, our hand is very land light, but I think it's worth the risk to keep. We'll lead on turn 1 Den into a Ragster. Opponent goes turn 1 Fetch Shock for DRC. Then they cast out a Bauble, keeping the card on top. And looking at our top card now. Come on, land. Ow! Alright, well, we will bolt the DRC. Then we'll attack in with our Ragster on Unholy Heat. That's fine. And then we'll lay out a Relic. Missing a land drop, unfortunately. Opponent fires off a Preordain, and they miss a land drop. Oh, baby. Alright, well, let's attack. And we exile a Foothills. So then we'll play out a Lantern, exile another thing from their yard, and activate Relic, passing back to the opponent. Wow, an opponent fetch shocks on their turn. Getting a Soulscar Mage. Come on. Unfortunate. Well, let's evoke out this Fury, try and kill the Soulscar. Ah, they have a Mutagenic. That is annoying, but we'll fire off a Bone Crusher Stomp to try and finish it off. Oh, Spell Pierce, yikes. And I think I'm actually going to attack, because if they want to trade, that's fine. And they do. Opponent fires off a Dread Horde Arcanist. Come on, lands. Not a land. Well, let's fire off this Lantern, finding a land, and then we'll play out our Spellbomb. An opponent fires off an EI, and they exile a Dread Horde again, and go in for an attack for 1. Come on, land. Alright, well, let's cycle a Spellbomb. Not their Relic. I hate this game. Alright, well, at least double Relic's fine. They fire off a Swifty into a Soulscar, attacking in with only a Dread Horde. Come on, lands. That bolt's fine. We will fire off a bolt on a Soulscar, and we're not going to play at the Spellbomb. We're going to cycle one of these Relics. They fire off an EI. They exile a land, playing it out, fetching out a mountain, and playing out a Soulscar, and they attack in for 3. So we'll pop one of our Relics. Alright, we're drawing a land finally. Ooh, Flame Slash. Let's go. Let's fire off a Bone Crusher on the Soulscar, and then fire a Flame Slash on their Dread Horde, and activate our Relic, passing back another land for the opponent. They fire off a Preordain, then they play out a Dread Horde, and attacking for 2. Land? Ooh, we'll take that. So we will play land into a Fable, and we're going to hold up Relic activation here. Opponent goes to combat straight away, trying to fire off a Preordain from the yard, so we'll pop Relic, and they bolt our Shaman. That's fine. And they tear our Fable, unfortunate, and looks like we're taking 4 here. And another Dread Horde, so Kinzon off the top. We'll play that out, play a Spellbomb, use that right away to kill a Swifty, and then play out our Bone Crusher. And they have a Swift Spear into a Preordain. That's terrifying. They scry 2 to the top. Yikes. And they have an Unholy Heat for our Bone Crusher. Wonder if they're attacking in with everything here. Wow, they are attacking in with everything. Oh, no, doesn't look like they're attacking with everything. They're keeping back their Dread Horde, which is smart. Yep, and they flash back their heat, killing our Bone Crusher. Ooh, we top deck a Spike Field, and the Spike Field is not going to do it. I think we're just going to pass here and hold up some possibilities here. We can either blow up Blast Zone, activate Den to block, or do some weird things. And opponent goes straight to combat, casting a Preordain from the yard. Oh, this is such a hard decision. We can either activate Den and try and block, or go for a Blast Zone pop. And opponent also topped one of them, so I'm not sure what the right call is. I think we have to pop Blast Zone, but it's super tough. But then again, also thinking about this, we are just dead to a removal spell anyway, so I think we're activating Den trying to block, and we'll go to a block on the Dread Horde and hope this works. And we go down to 1. No, they had a bolt anyways! Ah, GG's. Well, we will Spikefield Hazard ourselves to go out, and we are out in top 8. Not a bad run, but we ended up getting a nice top 8 finish in this tournament. Definitely not sad about that. I think there are some things I could change in the sideboard at some point, but I'm very much enjoying this deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you want to see more tournaments, and I'll see you all in the next one.